my goal was to do 1 year music and to maybe sign a record label deal after a year. Then after 2 months, I signed a record label deal with Spinnin Records. So that was crazy for me, of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to talk to you about his life in the music industry. He's going to talk about the past, the present, and the future. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Mr. Mike Williams.
I don't know if my microphone is on. Thanks so much for coming. First of all, crazy to see a lot of people here again. And yeah, I decided to maybe do it in a different way than usual. By the way, how many people are English and how many people are from the Netherlands? If you're from the Netherlands.
Who's English?
And from another country? Cool, okay, great. That's good to know. How many producers are there here? And how many are actually DJing and also producing? And only DJing? Okay, cool. That's good to know. Thanks again for coming. I wanted to talk a bit more about the whole DJ life, more like behind the scene. As you maybe know, my sister and I have the On Tour with Mike Williams video online, which already gives you a bit more about the whole tour life behind the scene and not only what you see on social media. Come in, everyone. Take a seat. So first of all, for the people who don't know me, I'm Mike Williams, 22 years old, a DJ and producer, and I have I'm gonna divide it in 3 parts: past, present, and future. So first, I'm gonna talk a bit more about the past, what I did, and how I started producing, how I started DJing, and then the present, what's going on now, to see like the team, what's like everyone who's actually working for Mike Williams branding, and then the future, also like the plans, that what we have, what we make with our management and everything. So you can see a bit more what is going on in the life of a DJ, not only like the social media, Instagram, and what you usually see. If you have any questions, maybe it's cool to do it like after each section, or
yeah, if you can raise your hands after each section. If you have a question, I will come to you with the microphone and we.
And it can be anything like.
No, we're not going to ask your sister's number.
So the people who weren't here last year, there was Tom who was in the crowd who asked for my sister's number. So that's also a possibility. No, so many of you are producers and DJs, and you know, I was literally I was a small person actually, and I started playing piano, and I saw some videos online of people making mixes and videoing themselves and putting their things on YouTube, and that really interested me. So I decided to also start produce music and bought a really cheap DJ set. And that's how it basically started. But I was in high school as well, of course, and my parents were always like, you need to get your, you have to get your grade, make sure you pass your exam. Because I always wanted to be an airline pilot, which is, quite funny because now I'm in a lot of airplanes, but I'm not flying them. I always wanted to be an airline pilot, so I always worked for that on school. But at the same time, I really like music. So when I was in the sixth year of high school, I decided, okay, maybe it's good to just try a gap year and focus on music for 1 year. And my parents said, okay, that's good, but we want you to, of course, pass your exam. So luckily, I passed it, and I remember I was in my bedroom secretly making music 1 week before my exam, and my parents came into my room, what the fuck are you doing? you have to, you have to pass your exam, and but luckily that went well, and then my goal was to do 1 year music and to maybe sign a record label deal after a year. Then after 2 months, I signed a record label deal with Spinnin Records. So that was crazy for me, of course, and that's basically how it all started. And maybe many of you can quite relate to that you have to struggle with school and other priorities. Not sure if you can actually, make it in the music industry, but I think every other DJ has that as well. I also have a video of me playing piano, and you can see the small clubs I started in playing, which may be funny to see. I hope the sound works. Oh yeah, that was the introduction. For the people who don't know me, I'll skip that one. So that was me when I was young. You can see I grow up a bit. Really awkward. And then I started playing in small clubs. I was practicing for my first gig that night. I was super nervous. I told my sister that I didn't want to do it. And then she pushed me on stage. She was like, yeah, just do it. So that was here. My name was Mike W. And then, so this was my biggest club. Maybe some friends. Maybe you can recognize one guy here. Here is Garrix. Yeah, so that's how I started in small clubs.
Can we send this to him? That would be funny.
So we had a good time, and then then I started more building a team. So releasing music, planning to do other tracks with other cool producers and big DJs, like the one with Chesto came up, the one with Rehab Lullaby, and that's how we get to the present.
All right, I got a small question. You were telling, I just started, but you had to buy stuff, or you said you bought a cheap DJ set, but did you also buy Fruity Loops or Ableton?
No.
Or was it an illegal download?
Yeah, I can admit that in the beginning I had Fruity Loops. I just downloaded it somewhere. But the DJ set, of course, I had to buy it. I remember it was for the Dutch people, Masterclass. I bought it for 550 euros, which it took me a couple of years to collect, and birthdays and everything. And then I had this really small DJ set. It was 2 Denon players, and it was a Behringer mixer. And that's basically how it started, and producing FL Studio. But in the beginning everything sounded really shit, so.
And do you think it's important to play an instrument? Does that help you be quicker in producing?
For me it quite helps now, because you have a lot more knowledge of chords and melodies, and I think you can be a bit quicker in coming up with melodies if you play guitar or piano, or because how many people actually play an instrument here? Nice, that's good.
Are there any questions about Little Mike?
Hoi, ik ben moeder van een klein talentje.
Oh, leuk.
Ik heb een vraag als moeder.
Ja.
Ik heb het net aan Falco gevraagd, die was hiervoor.
Ja.
Heb jij een tip voor ouders? Want ik kom me helemaal onnozel aan het vullen. Vind ik niet erg, maar heb jij een tip voor mij als moeder?
Yeah, now...
Shall I translate it in English for the rest?
Yeah.
What she's asking if Mike has any tips for a mom of a talented producer or upcoming DJ.
I mean, I don't know if I really have like a tip, but it's what I had with my parents was they said to me, okay, there are more like your music is not like you can live from it at that moment, so it's important that you finish your school and get like the rest of all the people in your class. I mean, you have to get a sort of like a yeah, how do you call that, like a security for the rest of your life, that you can earn money and have like a good job. So that's, I mean, for a parent that's really important, because you want your kids to have I mean, a good future. So I think it's like the balance, like to maybe make like rules, like so in the weekends you can spend all your time on music, or I don't know, at the end of the days, but at the end, I mean, it is important that you have enough time to make music. On the other hand, you have homework, so I mean, yeah.
And a music school like the Herman Brood Academy or something like that. Do you support that?
Yeah, I think that's also an option. I didn't go to the Herman Brood, but I heard some really good stories about it, so that's also an option. But I get it when you are already a bit older, that it could be like a weird step to still do the Herman Brood, and maybe, because sometimes you just want to focus on your career instead of doing other projects what you maybe have to do on the Herman Brood. So.
All right, any more questions about the past of Mike?
Hi, at what level were you before your gap year, so in your last year of your high school?
I mean, the music online was getting a bit more popular. I got a bit more plays. That was at that time on SoundCloud, and yeah, then I started noticing that people were listening to my music a bit. But if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't do the gap year. So it kind of convinced me to do the gap year. But otherwise, I mean, it's difficult to know how big you are, like how much people are listening to your music. But if you really want to focus on your career, I think in my case, I decided to do gap year, and it turned out well. But I don't want to say that that's like the option to do.
Another question over there. I'll do her first and then you, and then we go on to the present. Oh, I gotta walk. Yeah, it's good.
Hi Mike, you were saying that you started building up the team and surrounded you. So what was the biggest challenge when you start to select your team, and how do you have any specific condition on selecting your team, or yeah, can you share it with us?
I mean, it's not something that you can decide it, but it's also like, I mean, I signed with Spinnin and Music All Stars in the beginning, and I mean, it was really new for me, so I couldn't really decide like who I wanted in my team. And of course, you're really small, so you, I mean, you don't earn a lot of money yet. You don't have a lot of shows yet, so everyone who helps you is like, you're happy with that. And then when you get to a more like a bigger level, of course, then you're gonna decide, okay, what's like the best for my career, which people are really good in their work, what people are really good at, like who's really nice as well, because you have to, I mean, you have to like each other because you work with each other. So there's, in a certain way you can decide it, but it's not like a job application. Hey, I want to work for Mike Williams, and no, that's not really how it works.
All right, I got a last question for the past, and then we go on to the present.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Hey, how did you get to Spinnin Records?
Oh, that's a good bridge.
Yeah. So they, it was funny. I was in a metro in Amsterdam, riding the train, and I was just like on my mobile phone, and suddenly someone called me, and I thought it was someone else because I didn't save the number of that person, and then a random number called me. So I was like, hey man, And then suddenly it was Jorn from Spinnin. I was like, huh? He was like, hey, this is Jorn from Spinnin, how are you? And I was like, hey, oh, fuck, hi. And then that was really weird in the beginning. He was like, yeah, I like your music. Do you wanna maybe come to the office for a meeting? And yeah, that's basically how it started. And then other labels and management started approaching me as well. It was all kind of in the same time. But then I decided to go for Spinnin.
Is that difficult that everybody wants to pull on you straight away and you don't have actually the knowledge of the music industry?
Yeah, that's really difficult. I remember me and my dad were, or actually my dad only, he made like a huge, he put all these papers next to each other with glue, and then he was drawing all the different managements and labels and the connection between them and the different artists that were signed to the different managements and labels, so I could get like a clear view of what was happening in the scene. And at that time I was like, I don't know if this works, but now when I look back, it's really helpful to have like an overview of what's where and who's doing what. And that's maybe a good bridge to the present. There's like a whole team now working also for other artists, but also for Mike Williams. And maybe it's cool to see like what's everyone's job and what's everyone doing and what the connection is between them. So here you can see literally the names and what they do. So there are a bunch of people. Marlou's manager, she's like literally doing, day-to-day management. And Robin, who's here as well. And then Jorn, tour manager, so he makes sure, he's going to talk about that later as well, he's here as well. Gio, who does all the visuals, VJ, Michelle, that's my sister, and she does all the video content, photos, social media. As you can see, there are more people involved with social media as well, because it's really important nowadays. Natalie, who's like the agent, so if someone wants to book me, then they send an email to Natalie, hey, I want to book Michael Williams, and then they're gonna discuss it. And then Daly is assistant, so she helps her with that. Megan does all the advancing, which is literally preparing the shows, make sure that the flights, the hotels, everything is arranged, which is quite a big job. And then Quincy, social media and branding, Sebastian, social media branding, Ash also, I see, yeah. And then the whole, so Spinnin Records is like of course the label, and they always, I always send the tracks to them and to management when I have, new projects, new vocals. I send it all to them, Jorn, Jeffrey, Dan, Oscar from publishing as well, and Victor, who helps me with the radio show, and a lot of more people as well, because there are so many other people involved that I don't really speak to a lot, which is maybe feels a bit weird, but yeah, there are so many people working in the office. So here you can see like there's a lot more going on behind only an artist. And there's more like a bigger team, and yeah. So that's so that's who I communicate with every day. Also, like tour life. That's touring is quite a big thing. Of course, we all know the advantages and the disadvantages on touring, and you can see all the cool things online, on the internet, on Instagram, but there are also a lot of things going on that are like, not a lot of sleep, a lot of pressure, also pressure on releasing tracks, because when I release a track, I can think it's cool and maybe management thinks it's cool, but you never know what anyone else thinks. And all the comments that people put online, I mean, I see them, I see everything, and I mean on YouTube people can be like really straightforward, like, Mike, this track sucks. They're like, fuck, I worked on this for like weeks, and then you see those kind of comments as well. So it's good to have a team around you to help you with that, and also like they can tell you how to deal with it. So that's basically what's going on in the present, building a team, and also touring a lot. Maybe it's cool to have a little talk with Jorn. This is Jorn, my tour manager. I think this one, yeah. Hi guys. So yeah, we do pretty much every show together.
Yes, we do.
And it's always a lot of fun, but yeah, maybe it's cool to talk a bit about, and if someone has questions like about tour management, and also like what you do exactly on tour.
I think I have a question here on the left.
I want to ask you about, like, at what point in your career did you start getting more shows, and what do you do, or what tips you have about getting booked and getting more gigs?
Yeah, that's a good one. The thing is that, and I was told that from the beginning, you're not gonna get any shows without making music. It all starts with the music. I think it's also Spinnin Records. How do you say that motto? It all starts with music. Do you know that?
Yeah, the vision.
Yeah. And because like then people are gonna notice you, and then promoters are gonna be like, hey, he's releasing a lot of tracks, a lot of people are listening to him. Then they're gonna book you. So I think it starts with music.
So first you release music, and then
Yeah.
the rest will follow.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Two questions actually. One, which point did you decide that you needed a tour manager? And the second question is, what does a tour manager mean for you?
I think I decided it when I noticed that I was doing shows, but there were so many things not right, like problems with the sound, problems with hotels, problems with flights, and there was no one who could help me. I was there on my own, and at that time I was also with my sister. But yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult, also with the two of you. And for me, it's difficult to say no if like a promoter wants me to, I don't know, do 10 interviews, and you're super tired, you didn't have any sleep. I mean, then I have to say like, no, sorry, I can't do it. It's really good to have someone with you who can say like, okay, Mike's really tired, let's do 5 now and 5 tomorrow, or something like that.
All right, that's good. And Jorn, how is it for you, and what do you do exactly for Mike when you're on tour?
So basically, I try to take away all those problems Mike had before without a tour manager.
Yeah.
So, for example, like the flights, the hotels, the interview stuff, but also a lot of technical problems, especially in like Asia and stuff like that. It's really hard for them to like, without me, I think, without the tour manager, it's hard for them to make a good Mike Williams show. And for us, it's really important that we have a good Mike Williams show. So yeah, I make sure that everything goes fine, and that he can just be like an artist and a DJ, because that's the most important thing for him, I think.
Okay, and is it also important to share the experience with a good friend or with a tour manager, that you're not alone all the time? Because we know in the scene a lot of people can be lonely. It sounds stupid, but we know that it's possible. Is it also like you share the experience with somebody?
Yeah, definitely. Because Jorn and I are like friends from
Like 8 or 10 years
Yeah.
already, like way back.
which is good, because for me it feels like I'm sharing all those really cool moments, but also the sad moments and the lonely moments with him, and I think that's really good. I know there are some DJs touring alone, and that's a bit of a problem. Like, when do you need a tour manager? And you really have to decide that for yourself, because it costs money. You have to pay for it, of course.
And when you're not on tour, does he also help you with the pressure you were talking about? Is there also a function for him when you're not on tour, or is it just when you're on tour?
Yeah, definitely, because a tour manager is not only a person who helps you on tour, it's also someone who I can, talk to when I'm at home, when you're at home, or when we're preparing for a next tour. But I also send him music. When I have a new track, I send it to you. It's more like someone you can talk to about also personal problems and personal things.
Do you guys ever fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we do. Not like we fight, but we have like discussions about stuff. But I think that's a good thing. When I started working with Mike, I told him in like the beginning, I said like, please give me feedback, and I give you feedback because we know each other for such a long time already. And I think it's really important to like talk with each other about what goes well and sometimes,
Yeah, it's true. It's not always super fun on tour. Sometimes sometimes you work even harder than me. Then I go to the hotel. We have for example, we have an Asia tour, 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks, 10 shows, 10 different countries. So pretty much a flight every day. And Asia is quite big. You can still travel like over 6 or 8 hours and still stay in Asia. So and then if you have time difference, you can literally have a show at like 1 or 2 a.m. then go straight to the airport. And if you fly to maybe to Tokyo or something, you can arrive in the evening and then go straight to the venue and then play a show, and on and on and on. And I can go to the hotel, but he has to do a sound check together with Gio. So for me, sometimes I have like an hour or two rest, but he has to go straight to sound check, do his things, and then maybe he can eat something in the hotel, and then we go straight to the venue again, and then have a show, and then go to the next flight.
It's nice to see that you have like the opposite respect to each other. Are there any questions about Mike Present and his team? All right, I will come back to you. Oh no, you got a Martin Carrick's cap, I won't do you.
Ik snap het in het Nederlands doen, maar ik heb zelf ook een zus. Is het niet af en toe heel erg frustrerend om constant een familielid om je heen te hebben? Want ik neem aan dat jullie niet altijd even dikke vrienden zijn geweest opgroeiend.
Nee, tuurlijk, ik denk dat voor iedereen.
Shall I do it in English?
Yeah.
She's asking if it's difficult to have a family member around you all the time.
I don't think it's difficult. I think it's more like advantage, because you have someone you trust next to you on tour, and sometimes you really need that on certain moments. Someone you can really trust and know for your whole life. And she can sometimes say like, okay, maybe it's better to do this or better to do that, or like stay calm, or it's fine, it's all good. So I think it's really good. Of course, sometimes we have a fight, but I think that's every brother and sister has that.
And she doesn't go on every show, I think, or?
No, like in the beginning, she did more shows. Now maybe a bit less, and then maybe a bit more. So it's also good to, decide both, what's best for both.
What's necessary.
Yeah.
I got another question here.
Ik doe dat ook in het Nederlands. Je zei dat je soms zwaar is, dat je weinig slaap hebt om tour en zo. Wat motiveert je dan om toch door te gaan met toeren?
Yeah, it's a good one. About the heavy schedules and the rough touring. What motivates me, of course, is doing the shows. The moment when you're on the stage again and you see the crowd and flags and people who made signs and everything. That's where you do it for. Then it doesn't matter how long the flight was or what shitty hotel you were in or whatever. That's where that's the ultimate thing. And of course, like playing your own music that you made in the studio and then playing it out live. that's what keeps you motivated.
Another question.
What do you do for life balance besides music and touring?
This is it. This is literally what I do.
But do you go to the gym for a good,
like that.
healthy
Okay.
style?
Yeah. No, of course. When I'm at home, then I try to be with friends, with family. I try to work out a bit more on tour. And he's still working on it.
Yeah, when I see the movies, he's always sitting down, and you're like working your ass
Well,
off.
literally it helps because when I go to, I remember the last time we were in China, I think, I was working out every day. You hate it. I was working out every day, and I had so much energy, and he was always sitting down. But that's like things that we discuss as well, like staying healthy on tour, eat healthy. Sometimes, I mean, go to the spa, go to the pool, have some relaxing time. Also really important.
Maybe you can tell a funny story about being on tour with your tour manager.
Yeah.
Funny anecdotes.
Do you have a funny story for us? Or else I'll have
Or
one for you.
Jorrit, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there are some weird things sometimes happening on tour.
Do you have a nice story for us, man? I know you have.
I have to think about it, but when I go thinking about it, I always come out to like Asia because it's such a like different culture.
Yeah.
So yeah, first of all, it's like hard to work with people there. But we had some like
Also like during traveling.
yeah.
And the weird thing is, in airplanes, I mean, there's a certain way that you behave, and like people expect that you behave, and then sometimes there's just this one, and that's mostly happens in Asia. Last time there was one person sitting in an exit row seat with his iPhone, and he was playing this shooter game, like really
like fully intense.
fully intense,
Like maximum.
like the whole plane could hear like and we were
People
sitting
dying
on
in
the,
games,
yeah,
like-
we were sitting on the other side, and I was looking at you like, what the fuck is he doing? So I was like, okay, maybe the flight attendant will come and say like, okay, you can't do that here. And there was the flight attendant standing literally next to him, like pretending nothing was happening.
Yes, he even gave like the security stuff, you know.
Yeah. So sometimes like crazy things happen on tour, and every time you think, well, that was crazy, and then the next tour something happens which is even more crazy. So it never ends. It's on tour it's never a dull moment.
Great. A question about touring for me. How do you produce when you're on tour, like a lot?
I mean, it's difficult to combine. Sometimes you really can't, because I mean, you can be really tired. But sometimes on tour you get a lot of inspiration, and then you just make like the small ideas, the rough ideas, and then in the studio you work it out to like the final track. But all the small ideas you can make it on tour. Because
All
you're
right,
doing
great.
so many different.
I think we have one last question for the present, and then
Yeah.
we can go to the future.
I have a question for Jorn. So if you travel to, like, for example, Asia, where the people are like on a different level, how do you handle like the fans on airports and hotels and everything? Because obviously Mike wants to talk to him, but you're there as well.
Okay, so like Asia is hard. Like I always say to Mike, like when we go to Asia, I always say like I bring my bag of patience with me because you have to take everything really slow and like talk slow, and that's the best way to do it. And with fans, I think how do we do that? Normally, like we have like 4 or 5 or 10 fans like waiting for 2 or 3 hours at the airport for us or for Mike. We can't say like we don't want to do that, and it's really like you can't do it without the fans, you know. So then we take time for them, and if we have big groups of fans, then we do like 10 people, and then we stop it. People forget how much energy it takes to do like these small talks with fans, taking photos over and over and over again. Yeah, it's actually hard work, though.
Yeah, but it's also like when you arrive at the airport and you see people standing there, I mean, it's really cool to see. It is.
It is.
It's crazy to see that people actually waited there for a couple of hours to have a picture with you. So we always try to I think on the airports we always do like the photos. But sometimes in the club it can be like going on and on because like the row doesn't end.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to say, okay, now we need to stop because I mean this is gonna take forever.
Yeah, it goes on and on. One last question for me again about the rest of the team. Jorn is here and a few of the team.
Yeah.
Do you keep constantly contact with the rest of the team during touring, or?
We try to. I mean, it's really good to. I mean, every team member has his own job, of course, but it's really good to communicate with everyone and also about not really their task, but also other things. For example, like I'm sending music to you, but it's not necessarily that you have to do something with it. Because I mean, I have to send it to Jorn or to the guys from Spinnin Records or to other people. But it's good to have everyone involved. Also, like the agents, my sister as well, my family, to have everyone involved with what you're doing, and then you keep everyone really motivated.
Yeah, so Jorn sends also the social media stuff straight to Sebastian or Bash or whatever, and they upload.
Yeah, we make like WhatsApp group chats with all the people in it, and we send the pictures in there. Or we have like Dropbox, and there are all the pictures, and we can decide, okay, maybe it's cool to post this one, or maybe a different one, or post this video. Yeah.
So the whole team constantly works for you during touring or at home or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Cool. I'm really curious about the future, Mike.
Yeah. So as I said, we have this on tour with Mike Williams videos, where we also show a bit more about touring and the whole life behind it, also with my sister. So maybe it's cool to see like a small recap of what's been going on, but also like the plans for the future. Oh yeah, that was this. Let's see.
The year started with a big dream. I was allowed to perform on the main stage at the Ultra Miami Music Festival. And when I stood there, I thought back to a few years ago when Tiesto showed me to the world for the first time. And nobody knew me at that time. Now a few years later, I'm here now with fans all over the world in the crowd, all nationalities. And thank you for everyone who came to watch my show and watch the live stream.
Het is moeilijk om met die zon, je ziet bijna, ik kan alleen maar niet aanraken, dan alles bij elkaar, en die zit er niet lekker in, zeg maar. Maar ja, wat fuck. Ja, man.
Ja hoor, echt goed.
After Miami, I had my USA tour. My sister joined me and we went to New York and Philadelphia, and then we flew to London. Shortly after London, we flew to Bahrain for a show, and we were allowed to check out the Formula 1 with Max Verstappen, which was obviously super cool. The summer tour started, and we had shows in Asia and Europe, for example Tomorrowland, Mysteryland, Brookville, Greenfields and Ibiza. airports, waiting in hotels, staying in different places, being in cars, and being in airplanes. But it was all worth it. The moment I'm on stage and I see you guys dancing gives me the best feeling in the world. We have big plans for 2019. There's new music coming out almost every month, and we're now working on developing a new show for 2019. New visuals, new music, so it's gonna be really cool. There are a few more exciting projects, but I'll tell you more about that later in 2019. I want to thank you all for support last year. I could not do this without you, and I keep saying follow your dreams, and hopefully I see you in 2019. Love, Mike.
Yeah, so that was one of the on-tour videos. You can see a bit more that at the end, I mean it's now 2019, and you can see like we're more building on a cool show, more new visuals, VJs going with us. So yeah, that brings us to like the future. What are like your plans for the upcoming couple of years? That's also something I discuss with management, and it's good to have like a long-term idea of what you want to do, and maybe a goal like after 2 years what you want to do, instead of doing these small things every time, like releasing a track and then see what other track you're gonna release. For example, now we decided to do a music video which is more like spread over different tracks throughout the whole year. And of course you have to know which track you're gonna release. So we schedule the tracks April, May, August, and then there's like a more like plan of the whole year, which is really good. And of course, for myself, I have to think about what I want to do in, like, let's say 5 years. What I want to, yeah, I mean, what on music, but also on touring wise, what I want to do. I think that's also really good for everyone to think about, like, what is the goal that I want to do. Do I want to collaborate with like a big pop artist, and when do I want to do it, in like 5 years or 10 years? Do I want to sign a record label deal? And it's good to think about long term instead of short term. So that's what we're working on now. Also for me, then preparing for Tomorrowland main stage this year, these things that I'm working on. Also like new tracks, new collabs with maybe bigger artists, also maybe like bigger pop artists instead of only EDM. And we have a lot of meetings with management, with the agency, and that's like how like the life is of a DJ. Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you. We only got like 3 minutes left.
Cool.
I have one question. What's really important for me? Why do you always play on your socks?
Yeah. So yeah, I always play on my socks. It literally helps you. I mean, I started DJing on my socks in my bedroom or in the living room. So now when I'm behind a DJ booth, I take off my shoes because it feels like I don't know, when I'm at home, and it feels more comfortable. And I'm super tall, so it saves me like maybe 3 centimeters of my shoes. So that's good.
All right, does anybody have a question for Mike right now? Yeah, over here, sorry guys.
Oh, Mike, I was wondering, how do you met all those people of your team around you? Did you meet them like in the supermarket or something like that? Or just how you met them, and are they all friends, or yeah, something like that?
Well, there's a certain point that you're gonna decide, okay, I want to sign with maybe like a record label or with a management or with a booker agency. So I decided to sign with Spinnin and sign with Sort Management, who does my management now, and they all also have like people working there who do social media and other things. So you get to know the people that work at the company that you signed with, and of course when you have a good connection with each other, that's always good, and then you can decide, okay, maybe it's cool to work with them or to work with them. But yeah, so they're literally like different, as you can say, companies working around you, and people work at those companies and they do work for you. So yeah.
All right, that's really good to know. There's not a grocery store for management people.
Yeah, it will be cool.
I gotta sign it off because it's 5:15 and we only have this area until 5:15. But I think you will be here for maybe 5 minutes more.
Yeah.
So if you have a question, not everybody at once, but you can address the booth and maybe ask a few questions. But this was it for today for Spinnin Records. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you so much. And for the last time, make some noise for Mr. Mike Williams.
Thanks for coming.